Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I thought I'd put this t-shirt on again because it looks like Joshua is at his lowest ebb. If you can be at your lowest ebb, having earned tens of millions of pounds and being a two-time heavyweight champ, and you're barely into your 30s. Yeah, well, he had a bad one, didn't he? He had a real mare. He fought better than ever against Usyk. Just got beaten by an extremely good heavyweight champion who ticks all the boxes. Extremely tough man, never mind his skill level, which is through the roof. But Joshua, you know, his aftermath, the whole embarrassing, cringe-inducing performance, just had an emotional meltdown. We've all had them. And you know, maybe a few people. I mean, obviously, you're going to get the Fury fanboys who are going to take the piss and everything, and all the memes are going to come out. You know, it's inevitable in this day and age with all this social media crap. But for those of us who don't really have a horse in the race, who just want to watch good boxing and respect all good fighters, a bit of me thinks it's hard. It's hard not to feel something for Joshua because, yes, I suppose you could argue he's brought it on himself by playing the whole. You know, nice guy, media savvy sort of guy, but I don't like to see someone who's in such a dark place emotionally. I don't care how much money they've got. I don't care what they've achieved. When I see someone who's just hurting like that, I always feel the need to sort of gravitate towards them. So that's why I'm wearing this t-shirt again. But I've also got a message of hope for Joshua. Not that he watches these videos, which is a shame because, you know, why shouldn't you watch these videos? But I think that losing twice to Usyk, and certainly the loss on Saturday, again, having fought very, very well, I think that loss on Saturday could be the best thing that's ever happened to Anthony Joshua, because it removes him from any kind of expectation. Now, he is perceived as damaged goods. And this is a guy who was fast-tracked, fought a string of very good fighters, even though he was a relatively inexperienced professional. I mean, I know he had the Dillian White fight and looked fantastic. I mean, he was shaken in that and hurt, but the way he knocked White out, he was the first man to beat White, knocked him out. And I mean, that was years ago. It was before his world title reigns. But he didn't really prepare himself for world level to any degree. If you look at all his knockover jobs, they were no good. So the idea that he went on such a productive run and, you know, obviously lost the belts, won them back, made a couple of defences and lost to Usyk twice on points. And I know the second fight was a split decision. I don't think it was a split decision. I had it 116, 112 to Usyk. I don't think you can make a case for Joshua winning that fight. But nevertheless, he's got all that experience from such a fast-tracked, high-pressure career that if he wants to continue, he can now do so without any pressure on him. He can go away, learn the things that perhaps it would have been ideal if he'd learned prior to being a world champion, because this is how you've got to bring someone on. You've got to bring them on to the point where they're ready to take that mantle, where they're ready to hold, don't just win the belts, but hold them for years and years. And I think Joshua did incredibly well, you know, leading up to the Usyk fights. I think he overachieved, if anything. Now, with the pressure off him, he's now got to make some decisions. Number one, does he want to carry on fighting? I think he does, but I think he might want to take a break, a 6-month break or whatever, and do it, man. Stop worrying about all the gravy train people, this entourage. Stop worrying about the public, and especially stop worrying about social fucking media, which I detest. I mean, I'm on it. I've got a Facebook page, but I think I've got an Instagram page, which I never really use. But, you know, Twitter and all this crap, just shovel it to one side. That's not the real world. Get rid of it. And stop feeling that you are a commodity, that you are a sort of two-legged corporation. Start feeling, I'm a human being and I need to do some self-discovery, and I need to become philosophical about what's gone on, and I need to concentrate on my identity as a human being. And then after 6 months, or maybe a year if you want to, you're still young enough to come back, get back in the gym, start working, strip it down. Don't, Get the people you're comfortable with. Look, no disrespect to Robert Garcia, who's a very good trainer, but a few people pointed out he hadn't trained many heavyweights before, if any. And heavyweight boxing, it helps if you... I mean, look, Emmanuel Stewart came relatively late to the heavyweights, although he had trained him, I think, in his gym unofficially. But who was it now? McCall, I think, was the first one, and then Louis took over Lewis, and then Klitschko. But he cut his teeth with Thomas Hearns, originally a welterweight, and Hill McKenty, who was another lower weight fighter, and all those youngsters, all those young lighter weight fighters, and the heavyweights came late. So it is possible that someone who's trained lighter weight fighters can train heavyweights, but there's no doubt that training heavyweights, it is a certain art. And Robert Garcia, was he the right man for the job? I like the tactics of going to the body. I like the fact that in the early rounds Joshua was varying his levels, bending his knees, but that only lasted for 2-3 rounds until maybe the fatigue started to sort of bite at him. I think he needs to be comfortable with the people he's with, quietly away from the spotlight. Just go about your business. Maybe go to a few gyms, but don't do it under the spotlight like he did after he lost the first Usyk fight. Maybe train with people that you've never heard of. One person I think I'm intrigued by for Joshua is Peter Fury. I wonder what Peter Fury could do. Some people have said Adam Booth. I'm not sure about that at all. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I've never trained fighters in my life, but I'm really intrigued by Peter Fury and Anthony Joshua. I think that... because Peter Fury is a no-nonsense guy, and he strips away all the bullshit, he wouldn't tolerate all that entourage, all that fucking bum fluff that goes with being a celebrity or someone who has, I mean, put it this way, right? I got to work this morning. I'm recording this on a Monday morning. I got to work, and there's a young lady I work with, and she's no interest in boxing, and she watched the Joshua fight. And I said, "Oh, is your boyfriend a fan?" No, he doesn't like boxing. Why did you watch it? Oh, I just had to watch AJ. I just had to watch the AJ fight. This is a young woman with no interest in boxing yet. So that is the appeal of AJ, and that's still there. So that'll be there in 2 years. He may not sell out stadiums, but he'll sell out, big venues. That's there because he just has that charismatic appeal. And if he goes away, maybe does the odd interview where he's, a bit more, he's obviously apologised already for his meltdown. Maybe if he was a little bit more, just a bit more down to earth, a bit more, not so rehearsed, not so aware of the fact that the world's watching him. There's an old saying, right? I think it was Oscar Wilde said it: "Be yourself. Everyone else is taken." Okay, I think that's what he needs to do. He needs to just chill out for 6 months, a year. Go about your business quietly, under the radar. Find the right trainer who you gel with mentally, emotionally. AJ's obviously a very emotional man. He needs to find that sort of person who he can confide in, who knows him, who get to maybe meet someone new. You get to know them, and you work with them in the gym, and you think, oh, this is great. I always think of Andy Lee, who I think is a really good young trainer. He worked with Emmanuel Stewart, he worked with Adam Booth, and he seemed to really gel with those two trainers. Joshua needs someone like that because he's not an unintelligent man. He is an intelligent man, but he's emotional, and I think he just wants to be respected and loved because he works incredibly hard. He's been a thoroughly decent man in the past, throughout his career. I mean, I know he had a little bit of naughtiness when he was young, when he was a teenager, or maybe in his early 20s or whatever it was. But since then, he's done a lot of good things for a lot of people, inspired a lot of people, and I just think that he needs to rediscover himself. He needs to find his own identity, and just be himself. So losing that fight on Saturday might just be the best thing that happened to him because it frees him up of any expectation. It takes away all the pressure, and it allows him to just go about his business as he wants to, in his own time. And And also, a lot of these hangers-on, you'll see a lot of them disappear now. He's lost twice to Usyk. You know, he's achieved a lot in his career. He's made more money than almost any of us can ever imagine. I mean, if I had 100 million quid or whatever it is he's got, I don't know what I'd do with it. I mean, I'd have a bloody good go at spending it, but you know, let's put a bit of respect on them. I know he made a fool of himself with that. You know, he stole Usyk's moment. That's not acceptable. That's not cool. I agree, but sometimes our emotions make us act like fools, and I think that happened to him. But don't mean you're a bad person. So I'm wearing this t-shirt with a little bit of pride, a little bit of support for AJ. Yeah, leave your thoughts below. What do you think? You agree with me or not? That's fine if you don't. You know, I'm just chewing the fat here, but hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Really like to hear your thoughts. And as always, thanks for your time. We shall speak again soon. Bye-bye for now.